What's up everybody, Julian Hall here, Ultrapreneur TV, at the Ultrapreneur, everywhere on the web. So tomorrow I am doing a workshop on leadership, and as you do some research, and I came across some information which I thought would be great to share with you all. Now, let me take you back in time to 1964, Harvard University. A researcher called Robert K. Rosenthal, and a principal of a university called Judith Jacobson, I believe. They conducted an experiment which was an IQ test, but they didn't call it an IQ test. They called it the Harvard Test of Inflected Acquisition. Don't ask me what that means. I have no idea. Not even sure inflected is a real word. Anywho, they did this test and to different groups of students, and it was basically an IQ test. But the results, when shared with the teachers, were deliberately misleading. They would say to the teachers, this group over here scored really well in their IQ test, so we expect them to do big things in the next coming year. However, this group over here didn't do too well, so, you know, we're not expecting too much of them, right? But remember, this was a lie. Anyway, as the course progressed, an interesting thing happened. The group which apparently did really well, their IQ actually went up, and at the end of the term or the year or whatever, they had made a marked improvement. The group that the teachers were told didn't do well in their IQ test didn't do well. Now, the experiment was to prove that the expectation that the teachers had on the students had a significant impact on the students' abilities. Now, this experiment has been done not just in schools, but it's been done in corporates, in all different types of organizations, and the results are the same. And the conclusion is, if you expect a group, whether it's your staff, whether it's your students, to do a particular thing, to achieve or not to achieve, that directly impacts the way in which you treat them. Because if you expect a student to do well, or if you expect an employee or a team member to do well, then naturally you're going to push them in that direction, right? If you don't expect someone to do well, then you're going to be like, didn't really expect anything from that student, person, employee, team member, so I'm not going to push them. Subconsciously, that's what's going to happen, right? So how does this relate to leadership? Really interesting. And it's because how I approach working in a team is by identifying, whether the person knows it or not, their strengths. And usually that person is generally better at that thing than I am, right? So once I've identified in that person the thing that they're better at than me, it immediately, in my mind, levels the playing field as to whether or not I should be above them, even in a hierarchical structure, right? I have a role to play and they have a role to play. We all play our roles, and bada boom, bada bing, the project, the company, whatever it is, takes off. My ability to do that means that I have to serve the potential or the untapped potential in that person. I have to spend time thinking about what that person is good at, what that person can bring to the table, what that person can contribute, even if they don't know it themselves, and actually try and foster or encourage that out of the person, right? And in that way, I'm serving them. Okay, now it might seem really selfless, but actually it's not, because there's no point delegating to somebody who can't do the job or doesn't want to do the job or isn't able to do the job properly. So in serving somebody's potential and in being able to encourage that potential out of that person, you are actually creating a better team member or a better person for you to delegate to. So you can comfortably delegate to somebody, to that person, knowing that they're going to do a really good job. And ideally that they'll do a much better job than you. Now, the only way that you're going to have that approach is if you remove ego from the equation, is if you recognize, again, that there are things that you're good at and there are things that you're not good at, and that's the reason why you have other people in your company, in your team, to balance that out. Going back to the experiment, what the experiment proved is that whatever you expect from your team is what you're going to get. Let me say that again. Whatever you expect from your team is what you're going to get. If you expect your team to be beneath you, if you expect that your team isn't going to be as good as you, or that you are babysitting your team, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get people who are a bunch of babies. You're going to get people who don't recognize or fulfill their fullest potential within the task that you're expecting them to perform. And the results are going to reflect that. So the best place to be is where you are trying to get someone to do something because you don't want to do it and they do want to do it. Once you get to that space, that's when the magic happens. And that's how you build an effective team. Hope that was useful, guys. Julian Hall here. Ultrapreneur TV, at the Ultrapreneur, everywhere on the web. If this video was useful, share it with somebody. And I am out of here. Peace.